Yo boys, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video I'm going to be talking you through kind of my thought process and how I play against more toxic decks as you go in from mid ladder, kind of start working your way up to the top ladder and so forth. These games were played, I think it's in Arena 9, which is what is it, Royal Champion I think it is. So yeah, these are kind of more toxic decks and counters to your deck. But it's just stuff that you see quite often and just trying to get how to deal with it and what to do in certain situations. But yeah boys, if you do enjoy today's video, please do be sure to hit that subscribe button, drop a like, it really means the world to me, and if you don't enjoy it, that's okay as well. So yeah, let's hop straight into it. So, get into the game. We start off normally, kind of relating back to that video I put out 2 days ago, chatting about my kind of thought process and how to start a game. So he starts off with the bar barrel. Now, whenever people start bar barrel, there is only a few decks that it can be. It's either going to be like a Lumberloon deck, it's going to be a Golem deck, or it could be like a Lava Hound deck. There's a few other options, but they're kind of the main decks that use the Barbarian Barrel over the log. Now, he plays the Bloon, so early on we can kind of assume, right, he is going to be playing Lumberloon. Not many people play the Bloon without the Lumberjack. But also at this stage we see he has the Tornado. Now, the Tornado, I'm sure a lot of you know, is a very big counter for the Hog Rider. So we're already kind of thinking, right, this is going to be a difficult game for us. What can we do in this situation? So he plays down his Lumberjack, and that's just going to be running back to us, and we just defend it pretty easily. We see he plays the Bowler in the back. Now, one thing about coming up against these decks is kind of learning the typical composition these decks run. So it's getting used to the fact that, yeah, most Lumberloon decks do run that Bowler. And most, as we can see in his hand, he has the freeze. Now, we don't know that yet, but we do typically think that most Lumberloon decks do run either the freeze or the poison. So there is things that we need to kind of look out for, pay attention to, and learn how to deal with. Obviously, if we let him in on one attack, he freezes, that's tower gone, and there's nothing we can do. So we have to be patient, we have to play well. The thing about these toxic kind of no-skill decks, which was what Lumberloon freeze is they kind of rely more so on you making a mistake than them actually, you know, to get a good attack going, because they will get a lot of value for just that small amount of elixir. So he starts planning up a big attack, and we're thinking, what can we do here? We can't use our Mighty Miner because he has that Inferno Dragon, and it kind of complicates things. So what we do is we try and isolate both cards, so we can put our Mighty Miner on the Bowler, and then we put our Goblins down to get the Inferno Dragon, and then we can play both without our Mighty Miners getting absolutely shredded by the Inferno Dragon. Now, this Bloon is going to connect our tower. We do have our Evolution Firecracker. Now, in this matchup, obviously I do have my Evolution Firecracker. You may not, and that's okay, but you probably might not even run this deck. This is a very strong deck I'm using, but in matchups like this where you do have that hard counter, it's important that we kind of cycle around our Firecrackers or cycle around your card to get that Evolution, because we need every advantage we can get. And in a matchup like this where he does kind of have the upper hand, both with the deck he's using, and just kind of how much of a toxic deck is, like how much damage he can potentially do with not much elixir, we do need to kind of give ourselves every advantage we can. So here we managed to keep our Firecracker up, because we know our Firecracker is kind of one of our most important troops, because it is our really only air defense in this matchup. We can't really use our Mighty Miner Bomb for our defense because we do need it for that Bowler and for the Lumberjack. So it kind of complicates things a bit. So getting value out of our Firecrackers is the most important thing, and it's just kind of recognize that in games. What is my value card and what do I need to play? So as you can see, we're not making it easy for him to get through. He did get a few lucky hits on the tower with his Bloon, but you can see how much harder we have to work for our damage than he has to work for his. So we go in for the Hog here to protect our Firecrackers, and we have 2 Firecrackers on the field. The Firecrackers are getting so much value, our opponent here doesn't really know what to do. Once again, we go in for it, keeping that Firecracker alive, and we're back to our Evolution, boys. So if he plays the Bloon, the Evolution's going nowhere. And as you can see, we haven't even given him a chance to play freeze, because we're not letting him in. We're keeping that pressure high. One of the keys to playing against a toxic deck is keeping that high pressure. Don't allow them. And then we just win the game pretty easily. Okay boys, we're going to get started in game number 2 here. Now, just to rewind on game number 1, The keys to that, playing against decks like that with the Lumberloon freeze, is not allowing him to build up that attack. Now if he gets that 9 to 13 elixir, like, well, 9 elixir to obviously play the Lumberloon, then the extra 4 for the freeze, that's just going to be trouble for us. There's not much we can do, but we didn't even let him play the freeze. We didn't give him the ample opportunity. Is that because he's a bad player? Maybe. Is that because we kept high pressure, didn't allow him to get in? Maybe. He did have his Tornado. He had every counter for us, boys. He had an Inferno Dragon for the Mighty Miner. He had Tornado for the Hog. He had Freeze, and I forget what else he had. I think he might have had Arrow or something. But yeah, he had every advantage in that game, but we just outplayed him due to constant pressure and getting value out of the cards we need to get value with, which in that case was the Firecracker. But yeah, boys, now we're going into this next game. This is against a Tombstone deck. I'm sure most of you have seen a lot of these recently. Tombstone seems to be everywhere since the Night update. Now luckily my opponent here doesn't play the Night version, he plays Splash Yard, but the principles are still the same. We need to recognize, and he has Tornado as well, so it's, once again, it's a bit of a counter for our deck. But the principle is still the same. We can just treat his Skeleton King, obviously we don't know he has that yet, but we will learn, as if it's that his Knight. So we would play our Mighty Miner as if it's the Knight is the Skeleton King. So if you're struggling not to play against the Knight's Tombstone decks, this is a good deck for you to try. Now we go in for the Earthquake on the Tombstone. Key thing whenever you're going with the Earthquake for the Tombstone, wait for the first couple of skeletons to pop up. Otherwise, the Otherwise, the skeletons will just come up at the end and do all the damage anyway. So if there's a tank taking the shots from your Princess Tower for the Tombstone, you need to wait before you play the Earthquake. Otherwise, the skeletons will spawn up later and get all that damage in anyway. But yeah, boys, pretty slow game. He's going to play the Ice Wizard here. And he has the Poison, which we know will count if we play our Evolution Firecracker in the back, will counter it. So we're in a bit of a sticky situation here, boys. We know he has a Graveyard deck which can take a tower in the snap of fingers just like that at any point. We know he has the Poison that can take out our Firecracker, which is on the Evolution Firecracker, which kind of takes away the one advantage we have in this matchup. We know he has Tornado for our Hog Rider, and we know he has the Baby Dragon, which we also need our Firecracker to take care of. So it kind of complicates things. We know that we're in a bit of a tough matchup here, but if we play patiently, really bad ability from him there, by the way, but if we play patiently and we kind of get these attacks going, wait for your opponent to make a mistake, the game becomes much easier. Now you see him leaking Elixir there. That's simply because sometimes it is just better to leak Elixir than it is to play a card and it just die. And as you see there, we said we were waiting for him to make a mistake, he makes a mistake. Now he is going to come in for the counter attack. So we play the Bomb Tower and the Firecracker, and we defend that pretty easily. Then we go in with the counter Hog Rider. Now he's going to Tornado it. I'm assuming, yeah, he does. Very slow with his tornadoes. We're not playing against a great player here, but we are outclassing him. I don't know what that ability was about. But yeah, boys, so you have to think, if that had been the Evolution Knight, we put down our Mighty Miner, it's the same principle. Now he does go for a different kind of Tombstone, but it doesn't matter, we still got that Earthquake value on the tower, and he didn't capitalise from it at all. And so we play our biggest advantage here, which is our Firecracker in the middle. Now we want to keep this Firecracker alive for as long as we possibly can. It's so important to keep these Firecrackers alive. And it does split off. He does put down his poison and try and deal with it, and it does split off to the right hand side. He lets our Mighty Miner connect the tower, but due to obviously the nerf of the Mighty Miner recently, it doesn't get that much damage. And yeah, boys, we take the game nearly. We kind of have him in a zone where we just need to cycle around again and again, and then that's game over. We play our Firecracker, we go in with the Hog, and he gives up. No, he doesn't. I thought he gave up at this point. And boys, that's game. So boys, this was the deck that we used for the games in today's video. Now remember, when playing against a deck that kind of counters yours, or it's a toxic deck you struggle to play against, be patient. You want to build up attacks, you want to wait for opponents' mistakes. not to be rude to people, but anyone who's playing these kind of like Lumberloon freezes and stuff like that, they're not typically the best players in the world. Now, obviously, there is some players that play it, and they're excellent, they're really good at Bloon and stuff. But as you go in that mid ladder, they're playing it because it gets easy value. So if you just be patient and outplay them, you can win any matchup against them. But yeah, boys, if you have any questions about today's video, please do be sure to leave a comment below. Hit that like button and be sure to subscribe. And as boys, peace out, see you in the next one.